The ballroom aboard the Velyrian flagship shimmered with crystalline light, refracting through alien glass that rippled like water. Dignitaries from a dozen worlds celebrated what they called the Union of Peace, the marriage of Princess Kaelira of the Velyrian Dominion to Captain Elias Ward of Earth's colonial defense. The alliance was meant to end decades of tension. Humanity had fought hard to earn a seat in the Galactic Council. This was their supposed reward. Elias stood beside his new bride, uneasy beneath the golden crest of her empire. Kaelira was breathtaking, skin faintly luminescent, eyes like liquid amethyst, but distant. The faint curl of her lips carried superiority, not affection. He'd noticed that subtle disdain since the ceremony began, masked beneath polite diplomacy. When the first scream echoed across the chamber, it didn't sound human. The second one did. Through the panoramic viewport, the blue glow of Earth's colony world, Harmless 7, flared, then vanished into a sudden inferno. The image broadcast live to the ballroom silenced every guest. For a moment, no one spoke. Then the Velyrian ambassador raised a glass. "To the end of the human question," he said coldly. Elias froze. "What did you say?" Kaelira didn't answer. She turned to him, her expression blank. "Your species was given mercy, Elias. You mistook it for equality." The holographic feed expanded. Harmless 7 burned, cities crumbling under orbital bombardment, defense satellites shattered, civilians screaming as molten clouds rose over the skyline. Elias felt his chest hollow out. That was his post, his people, his command. He reached for the communicator on his wrist. "Command, respond. Harmless station report." Only static answered. Guards in silver armor stepped forward, weapons drawn. Kaelira's voice was serene, almost regretful. "Do not resist. You are no longer required in this arrangement." Elias's hand trembled, not from fear, but calculation. "You planned this. The marriage, the peace, everything. The Dominion cannot coexist with predators," she replied. "Your history proved that. You are a contagion of war, and the galaxy will not suffer another human uprising." He stared at her, disbelief giving way to cold clarity. "So you caged the beast before killing it?" Kaelira tilted her head. "Precisely." He smiled then, faintly, like a man seeing through fog. "You have no idea what you've just done." Two guards moved to seize him. Elias twisted, driving an elbow into one's throat, ripping the plasma blade from his holster, and slashing through the second before the first hit the ground. The Velyri were fast, but not fast enough. He fired once, severing the chamber's central power conduit. The lights dimmed to crimson emergency glow. Chaos erupted. He sprinted through the corridor as alarms shrieked. Every step burned into memory, the last echo of humanity's trust turning to ash. He didn't run for survival. He ran for revenge. Hours later, aboard a stolen courier ship hidden within the debris field of Harmless 7, Elias watched the destruction replay on a cracked monitor. Billions gone in minutes. The Velyri called it a necessary cleansing. He called it genocide. His reflection in the glass didn't look human anymore. The smoke of Hera's death hung behind his eyes. A transmission flickered in from an encrypted human channel. Static, then a familiar voice, Admiral Kyra Voss. "Ward, if you're alive, listen carefully. Earth Command is dark. Luna Base is gone, but remnants survived, ships scattered across the fringe. We regroup at Titan's shadow. Bring whatever you can." Elias exhaled slowly. "Copy that." Kaelira's voice echoed in memory. "You are no longer required in this arrangement." He stared at the fading stars, his jaw tight. "Neither are you." The courier's AI hummed, running silent protocols. Elias opened the storage compartment and stared at what remained of his command kit. A pulse rifle, a ceremonial dagger gifted by Kaelira herself, and a data shard, one sheet thought harmless. It contained schematics of Velyri battle networks. He had studied them in secret, curious about their weaknesses. Now, that curiosity was purpose. He activated the shard. Lines of alien code shimmered across the console. Patterns, redundancies, command chains, every arrogant layer of their empire exposed to someone who understood how humans thought. Adapt, exploit, survive. He whispered to himself. You think humanity is fragile because we bleed easily. You forgot. We learn faster than you kill. The AI spoke softly. Captain Ward, shall I prepare stealth navigation to Titan's shadow? Yes, Elias replied. And archive everything we've seen. Every transmission. Every face in that ballroom. I want them all recorded. Purpose, the AI asked. Justice, he said. Then, after a pause, no. Retribution. Far away, aboard the Velyrian flagship Celestial Veil, Princess Sereth stood before her advisors. The destruction of Harmless 7 had been swift, efficient, and absolute. Yet her thoughts lingered uneasily on the human's last words. You have no idea what you've just done. Her steward approached. Your Highness, the human captain's body was not recovered. Shall we dispatch scouts? Sereth hesitated, then waved a hand dismissively. If he survived, he will die with the rest. The species will not rise again. But somewhere deep within, a flicker of doubt formed, a faint, unwelcome tremor in her certainty. She had seen something in his eyes before he escaped. Not desperation, not fear. Something colder. She turned to the viewport, watching Hera vise glowing debris. And the transmissions, she ordered. Let the galaxy see that the age of humanity is over. In the void beyond, Elias Ward's ship disappeared into faster-than-light translation, leaving behind only a faint distortion in space. His face was illuminated by the flickering light of data screens, alien schematics, fleet positions, communications. He wasn't just a soldier anymore. He was the last messenger of a dying species, carrying their rage like a weapon. As the stars blurred into streaks, he murmured, You burned our world to prove we were weak. We'll show you what weakness becomes when it's cornered. The engines roared. The ship vanished into the dark, and across the silent expanse of space, a spark was lit, small, defiant, and destined to burn the stars themselves. Titan's shadow swallowed the remains of humanity. 42 ships drifted in silence, hidden beneath Saturn's rings, their hulls bruised and cracked. No banners, no anthem, just survivors clinging to steel and fury. The Velyrian Dominion had burned Earth, shattered Mars, erased colonies across 3 systems. They believed humanity dead. They were wrong. Captain Elias Ward stared through the command deck window of the Vigilant. The stars felt colder now, each one a reminder of what was lost. His reflection in the glass looked older, his eyes darker. Behind him, the air hummed with tired machines and quiet voices. Fuel's low, power cells failing, reported Lieutenant Vale. We're down to ration bars and recycled water. Morale's hanging by threads. Elias nodded once. What about our signal sweeps? Velyrian patrols everywhere, Vale said. They're cleansing systems, hunting stragglers. Admiral Kaelira Voss entered, her uniform half burned from the last engagement. We can't keep hiding, she said. Sereth's fleet will find us eventually. When they do, there'll be no running. Elias turned. Then we stop running. Her brow furrowed. With what army? He didn't answer. Instead, he brought up a hologram, the alien schematics he'd stolen from Sereth's data shard. Glowing threads mapped an intricate web of relay stations, connecting the Dominion's fleets, communications, and logistics. This, he said, is how they control the galaxy. One lattice, one brain. We cut it, they go blind. Voss folded her arms. That's suicide. It's survival, Elias replied quietly. They think humans can't strike back. Let's remind them who taught the universe war. The hangar of the Vigilant was a cathedral of noise and sparks. Engineers welded scrap into weapons. Civilians worked beside soldiers. Every bolt Titan carried vengeance. They stripped freighters for armor, rewired engines into plasma cannons, and turned mining drones into guided torpedoes. Humanity wasn't rebuilding. They were repurposing their extinction into ammunition. Elias moved among them, sleeves rolled, helping wherever needed. He didn't command from a throne but from the ground. People respected that. They followed him because he bled like they did. A boy, no older than 17, stopped him. Sir, my parents died on Harmless 7. You think this will make a difference? Elias looked at him steadily. It already has. You're still here. The boy nodded, jaw tight, and went back to welding. That night, in the observation chamber, Saturn's rings glowed faint gold across the glass. Admiral Voss joined him, carrying 2 ration cups of bitter coffee. "You're really going to hit the relay?" she asked. "Yes, even if it kills us." He sipped the drink, grimacing at the taste. "If it kills them first." Voss leaned against the railing. "You were married to her, weren't you?" "Sereth." Elias's grip tightened around the cup. "It was never real. I was an ornament, a symbol of peace to parade before their council. She looked at me like a pet who'd learned to speak." "She underestimated you." "They all did." He turned to the stars, voice hardening. "We're not just going to survive this, Kaelira. We're going to make them afraid to ever say the word human again." The fleet moved at dawn cycle, silent and invisible. The operation was code-named Prometheus. The objective, the relay nexus at Theta 9, the Dominion's primary network hub near a pulsar. As they prepared for jump, Vale's voice echoed through the deck. "Navigation locked. If this fails, we won't have enough power for a second attempt." "Then we don't fail," Elias said. The stars stretched, bent, and folded as the Vigilance slipped into faster-than-light transit. The silence of hyperspace was unnatural, like waiting inside the breath of a god. When they emerged, Theta 9 filled the view. The relay was monstrous, a web of crystalline towers encircling a burning neutron star. Energy arced between spires, pulsing with alien precision. "Velyrian outposts, 6 frigates, 1 command vessel," Vale reported. Elias smiled faintly. "Good. Enough to notice us. Not enough to stop us." "Launch decoys," he ordered. Hundreds of drones burst from the fleet, broadcasting false human signatures. Dominion ships scrambled to intercept, unaware of the Vigilance sliding through the magnetic storm behind them. "EMP ready," Vale called out. "Fire." A pulse of blinding light rolled through space. The first 3 outposts went dark. Elias didn't wait. "All units go." Human assault pods shot toward the relay like bullets. Elias led the charge, rifle locked to his chest. When the pods breached the crystalline structure, the walls glowed under impact, cracking like glass under pressure. Inside, alien corridors shimmered with flowing light. The Velyri had built beauty without mercy. Elias and his team cut through guards with surgical precision, their movements deliberate, efficient. Humanity's chaos turned into rhythm, a new language written in violence. Vale's voice crackled in the calm, virus cores placed on sector nodes A through E. 2 more to go. "Copy. Keep it clean." A group of Velyri soldiers rounded the corner, elegant armor gleaming. Plasma bolts scorched the air. Elias rolled behind cover, returned 3 short bursts. 2 aliens fell. The last one hesitated, staring at him through its visor. "You shouldn't exist," the alien hissed. Elias shot once, clean through the visor. "Get used to disappointment." The virus activated. Red light spread through the relay's conduits like wildfire. Dominion data streams screamed through corrupted circuits, rewriting themselves into chaos. Vale shouted, 30 seconds until overload." Elias hit his comm, everyone out now. They sprinted for extraction as explosions tore through the structure. Energy arcs lashed the corridors, melting walls, vaporizing debris. Elias jumped into the pod just as the relay detonated, the shockwave blooming like a star's death cry. The Vigilant caught the blast wave and jumped to hyperspace, leaving the Velyri network to collapse in cascading failure. Hours later, the fleet drifted in silence, engines cooling, the crew watching sensor feeds. Across Dominion space, fleets misfired, navigation grids failed, communication lines died. Admiral Voss broke the silence. "You did it." Elias shook his head. "We did the first part. Now they'll come hunting." Vale looked at him. "What do we do until then?" Elias's eyes fixed on the distant void. "We prepare. Every scrap, every mind, every weapon. Because next time, we won't be hiding." Light years away, in the Dominion capital, Princess Sereth stared at flickering holograms. Reports of systems gone dark, admirals out of contact, entire sectors collapsing into silence. Her aide approached cautiously. Your Highness, the human network virus is spreading faster than containment allows. Orders. Saratha's voice trembled for the first time. Find him, Elias Ward, before he finds us. In the cold black between stars, the Vigilant sailed onward. The crew slept fitfully, unaware of Elias standing alone at the viewport, hands clasped behind his back. The reflection staring back at him wasn't the man who had once believed in peace. It was something older, sharper. He whispered to the void. You wanted to see humanity's end. Now you'll see our beginning. The engines flared. The ship vanished into darkness. The Dominion burned. It began as data flickers, glitches in their command feeds, ships colliding mid-flight, stations firing on allies. Then came the silence. Whole sectors lost communication. Fleet stranded without navigation. Admirals shouting into static. The Velyri called it a system-wide malfunction. Elias Ward called it justice. From the command deck of the Vigilant, he watched the chaos unfold across stolen transmissions. Alien ships drifted blind through debris fields, cutting through their own formations. The virus heat unleashed at Theta 9 had spread like wildfire. Elegant, unstoppable human. Lieutenant Vale grinned as he read the data. Reports say their capital's in lockdown. 10 fleets grounded. Admiral Voss folded her arms. They'll recover. Seraph won't stay paralyzed for long. Elias nodded. Then we move before she does. He brought up a new projection. The Dominion's industrial world of Velshar. The planet produced the fuel cores and plasma matrices for half their warships. Without it, the Empire's fleets would wither. This is our next strike, he said. We cripple Velshar, and the Dominion starts eating itself alive. Vale frowned. We're still running on patchwork hulls and desperation. That planet's got orbital fortresses. Elias didn't flinch. Then we'll turn their strength into a weakness. Same as before. The fleet refitted in deep space. Wrecked cargo ships were stripped for armor plating. Atmospheric drills became missile bays. Every vessel carried the hunger of a dead world. Voss watched Elias at the forge deck, welding in silence. You never stop working, she said. He didn't look up. Work keeps the nightmares quiet. She approached, voice softer. You've become something the Velyri fear. Elias shut off the torch and removed his visor. His eyes reflected the furnace flame. They fear what they made. All I did was survive. You plan to die with this mission, don't you? He smiled faintly. If I die, make sure it counts. 3 days later, the Vigilant led the fleet toward Velshar. The planet filled the viewport, a crimson sphere surrounded by rings of shipyards, forges, and energy refineries. Thousands of Velyri warships patrolled its orbit, shimmering in perfect formation. Vale's voice was tight. If they spot us, we're done. They won't, Elias said. They're blind, remember? We'll make sure they stay that way. The fleet deployed cloak decoys first, small drones broadcasting false Velyri codes infected with fragments of the virus. The Dominion's defense grid recognized them as friendlies, opening corridors for approach. Slipstream ready, Vale said. Engage. The fleet surged forward, hidden in the confusion. Human ships slipped between enemy patrols like shadows through mist. When they broke orbit, the forges of Velshar glowed beneath them, massive crucibles pouring fire into space. Targets locked, Voss said. Then light them up. The first volley hit with the force of divine wrath. Asteroid-based torpedoes slammed into orbital foundries, detonating antimatter cores. Fire blossomed across the horizon. The Dominion's defenses scrambled too late, firing at ghosts while human ships struck from angles no battle manual predicted. Elias stood at the helm, issuing orders with calm precision. Strike teams, prioritize coolant towers. If those overload, the core chain reacts. Acknowledged. The Vigilant dove through a field of burning wreckage, plasma rounds cutting through enemy frigates. Human gunners cheered as Velyri ships shattered like glass. For once, the Predators bled. Vale's voice broke through the comm. Captain, we've got incoming cruisers. 3 of them. Elias glanced at the display. Redirect the Endeavor. Ram their lead ship. Sir, that'll kill. Do it. The Endeavor surged forward, its engines burning white-hot. The collision split the Velyrian cruiser in half. A single flash, then silence. Elias closed his eyes briefly. Your deaths will mean something. On Velshar's surface, shock waves rippled across the industrial continent. Factories imploded under pressure, reactors melted through the crust, and the sky filled with debris. From orbit, it looked like the planet was bleeding light. Admiral Voss watched in awe. You just cut out their heart. Elias's jaw tightened. Not yet. A proximity alert blared. Massive energy readings appeared, Saratha's personal fleet, emerging from warp. The Velyrian flagship Celestial Veil led the charge, surrounded by gleaming dreadnoughts. Veil shouted, "They've arrived. She's here." Elias's voice dropped to a growl. Then it's time to show her what she married. The Celestial Veil opened fire. Plasma lances tore through the void, carving trails of fire. The Vigilant rolled hard, hull shield screaming under impact. Return fire. Elias barked. Missiles streaked from the human fleet, weaving through enemy formations. The battle turned into chaos, bright, savage, and close. The Dominion fought with discipline. Humanity fought with fury. Elias moved through the deck like a storm, issuing rapid commands. Reactor 3, reroute to forward shields. All batteries, concentrate on the flagship. Voss's voice came sharp. That's Saratha's ship. She'll be protected. Good. Makes her easier to find. The Vigilant surged toward the Celestial Veil, dodging through debris and shattered hulls. At point-blank range, Elias gave the order. Fire the Hellspike. A massive rail weapon roared, launching a tungsten spear through the void. It pierced the alien flagship's side, ripping through decks in a line of molten fire. Direct hit. Veil shouted. The Dominion fleet faltered. Through the shattered viewport of her bridge, Princess Kaelira stared at the burning chaos. Her empire, once infinite, was unraveling. She clenched her jaw. Open all channels, she hissed. A voice came through the static. Elias Ward, calm as death. Hello, Your Highness. Kaelira froze. You can't win this. I already did, he said. You just haven't realized it yet. She looked to her officers, desperate. Kill him. But her words drowned beneath another explosion as the Vigilant unleashed its final barrage. The Celestial Veil split apart, its hull consumed by internal detonations. Elias watched the fire consume her ship. His reflection shimmered in the glass. A man forged in grief, purified in vengeance. Veil whispered, "Sir, she's gone." Elias didn't answer. His voice, when it came, was almost gentle. No one's ever really gone. She'll live in the fear her kind feels every time they see a human flag. Hours later, the fleet limped through the wreckage of victory. Velshar burned behind them, its atmosphere collapsing in storms of fire. Admiral Voss approached quietly. You did it. The Dominion's collapsing. They're tearing each other apart. Elias stared at the dying planet. It's only the beginning. She frowned. What happens now? He turned toward the stars, ice cold. Now the galaxy remembers why you never enslave humanity. We don't rebuild, we return. The Vigilant drifted through the embers, its hull glowing faintly under distant sunlight. Humanity had become a whisper carried on smoke and flame, a legend reborn through wrath. And for the first time in centuries, the stars themselves feared what they had created. The Dominion's throne world no longer glowed with perfection. It smoldered. Once, its sky shimmered with the auroras of its defense grids and the constant movement of its great fleets. Now, the orbit above Seraph Prime was a graveyard of drifting wreckage and silence. Elias Ward stood on the bridge of the Vigilant, eyes fixed on the dying planet that had once ruled the galaxy. The human fleet, battered but alive, orbited the ruins of a fallen god. Lieutenant Veil leaned over the console. Their command net's gone. No signals. Just debris. Admiral Voss approached from behind, voice steady but heavy. We broke them. Entire systems are rebelling. The Dominion's fleets are fighting among themselves. Elias didn't smile. Victory isn't about destroying ships. It's about destroying certainty. We just showed the galaxy their gods can bleed. He turned toward the viewport. And now they'll remember who we are. A transmission broke through the static. Faint, distorted, but unmistakably Valari. Human fleet, this is Regent Sereth of Sereth Prime. We request parley. Vale frowned. They want to surrender? Elias shook his head. No, they want to survive. He nodded once. Patch it through. The screen flickered, revealing a pale figure adorned in fractured armor, his silver eyes burning with desperation. Behind him, smoke rose from the shattered spires of their capital. Elias Ward, the regent began, voice brittle. You've done the impossible. The Dominion is broken. But if you continue this, if you burn Sereth Prime, you'll doom millions who had no part in your war. Elias's tone was cold, almost surgical. You enslaved a species. You dissected our people in your laboratories. Don't talk to me about innocence. Sereth's expression faltered. That was not my command. It was your silence, Elias replied. The regent's composure cracked. What do you want, human? Elias stepped forward. A future where your kind fears to ever whisper our name again. He ended the transmission. Prepare dropships. The assault began under the crimson light of a burning dawn. Human marines descended through a broken atmosphere, riding on the backs of gunships repurposed from captured Dominion craft. Below them, the capital stretched like a dying beast, its streets split open by bombardment, its towers crumbling under their own weight. Elias led the strike personally. Voss had tried to stop him, but he'd only said, "You don't send ghosts to finish wars." They landed near the citadel, a structure of silver spires wrapped in black smoke. Every step forward was resistance. Drones firing from rooftops, Valari soldiers emerging from the ruins, desperate to hold the last inch of their empire. Push through. Elias shouted, rifle flashing blue. He moved with practiced precision, never wasting a shot, his presence anchoring the men around him. A Marine fell beside him. Another took his place, without hesitation. There was no fear left, only purpose. They reached the citadel gates, massive doors scorched from orbital fire. Vale set charges. Ready. Do it, Elias said. The explosion tore the gates apart. Heat and dust rolled over them. Inside, the grand hall lay in ruins, broken statues, shattered glass, and the lingering echo of arrogance. At the far end, the regent waited, surrounded by guards in ceremonial armor. His voice trembled but carried pride. You think you've won, human? Without us, the galaxy collapses into chaos. You'll drown in the same blood you spilled. Elias walked forward, weapon lowered. Then we'll rebuild it from ash. It's what we do best. Sereth sneered. You're a savage race. Elias stopped within arm's reach. No, we're survivors. There's a difference. The regent lunged, drawing a blade of radiant energy. Elias sidestepped and drove a plasma bayonet into his chest. The alien staggered, gasping as light poured from the wound. Elias leaned close. Tell your people, humanity doesn't kneel. He pulled the blade free. Sereth collapsed. The citadel burned for 3 days. By the time the smoke cleared, the Dominion was gone. Across the stars, systems declared independence or fell into anarchy. Some Valari worlds tried to surrender. Others vanished into silence. On the bridge of the Vigilant, Voss watched as transmissions poured in, reports of uprisings, revolts, and shattered fleets. We did it, she said quietly. The Dominion's history. Elias didn't answer. His gaze lingered on Sereth Prime, now little more than a wounded shadow. Vale spoke softly. Sir, what now? The galaxy's ours for the taking. Elias finally turned. No, the galaxy's watching. He opened a broadcast channel, unfiltered, unencrypted, transmitting to every reachable system. His voice echoed through the void, carried on the ashes of empires. To every world that called humanity a slave race, look at your skies. Look at what your arrogance built, and what we tore down. We are not conquerors. We are reminders. The galaxy forgot what it meant to fear men who have nothing left to lose. Remember this day. He paused, letting the silence stretch. Humanity does not seek vengeance. We seek balance. You took our world. We took your throne. Now the scales are even. He ended the broadcast. The crew stood in silence, some with tears in their eyes. Voss stepped forward. You think they'll ever forgive us? Elias shook his head. They don't have to. They just have to remember. Later, alone in his quarters, he opened a small metal case, a relic from Earth. Inside lay a single fragment of soil, black and lifeless, taken from the ruins of his home city. He turned it in his palm, the last memory of the world that started it all. He whispered, "We came from dust, and somehow we became fire." A soft knock at the door. Vale entered, hesitant. "Sir, we found survivors on the surface. Civilians. Mostly children." Elias closed the case and stood. "Then we do what they never did for us. Evacuate them." Vale looked surprised. "You want to save them?" Elias met his eyes. "I want the next generation to know mercy exists, even for monsters." As the fleet departed Sereth Prime, the planet's crust fractured, swallowing the last of the Citadel. The Dominion's symbol crumbled into dust. The Vigilant turned toward the stars, engines burning bright against the black. Voss stood beside Elias. And now, he watched the infinite stretch of light ahead. "Now we go home," he said softly. "Whatever's left of it." For the first time since the war began, Elias allowed himself to breathe. The galaxy had learned to fear humanity again, but within that fear, a new legend was born. One not of vengeance, but of endurance. Because when humanity fell, the stars thought it was over. They were wrong. It was only the beginning.